Bhagavata Purana has broad information on philosophy, mathematics, linguistics, history, economy, astronomy, astrology. It opens an immense panorama of the meta-historical development of the universe and contains the information about the past, present, and future of the human race. Dear friends, we have some exciting news for you. Something good is about to come. Aleksandr Kubelsky is a public figure, philosopher, publicist, the editor of the Golden Age information portal, born in Moscow, Russia, studied full-time in the Institute of Economy and Informatics. Favorite quote: "May all the beings in all the world be happy." Interests: spiritual advancement, philosophy, psychology. Occupation: the chief editor of the Golden Age portal. Favorite activity: live broadcasts on the Golden Age TV. Good evening, dear friends. I was asked to make a short report within the conference of the Bhaktivedanta Institute. The topic is the prophecies about the arrival of the Golden Age in Vedic scriptures. The topic is very exciting because Vedic scriptures are famous for their prophecies. The appearance of Jesus Christ and Muhammad was predicted in Bhavishya Purana, and the appearance of Buddha was predicted in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. These are wonderful prophecies because these scriptures were written about 5,000 years ago, long before these events took place. The 12th canto of the Bhagavata Purana or Srimad Bhagavatam contains the most surprising predictions about Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is a terrifying period we are living in right now, according to the Vedic system. But I will once again mention that these texts were written 5,000 years ago, but when we read these translated texts, we get the impression that they have been written recently on the basis of the news from the internet. I will read some verses from the second chapter of the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is called The Symptoms of Kali Yuga. Shukadeva Goswami, the narrator of Srimad Bhagavatam, said, "Then, O king, religion, cheerfulness, cleanness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, physical strength, and memory will all diminish day by day because of the powerful influence of the age of Kali. In Kali Yuga, wealth alone will be considered the sign of a man's good birth, proper behavior, and fine qualities, and law and justice will be applied only on the basis of one's power. Men and women will live together merely because of superficial attraction, and success in business will depend on the seed. Womanliness and manliness will be judged according to one's expertise in sex, and a man will be known as a Brahmana just by his wearing a thread. A person will be judged unholy if he does not have money, and hypocrisy will be accepted as virtue. Marriage will be arranged simply by verbal agreement, and a person will think he is fit to appear in public if he has merely taken a bath. Filling the belly will become the goal of life, and one who is audacious will be accepted as truthful. He who can maintain a family will be regarded as an expert man, and the principles of religion will be observed only for the sake of reputation. As the earth thus becomes crowded with a corrupt population, whoever among any of the social classes shows himself to be the strongest will gain political power. Now we are living in the beginning of Kali Yuga, and what will happen next? Losing their wives and properties to such avaricious and merciless rulers, who will behave no better than ordinary thieves, the citizens will flee to the mountains and forests. Harassed by famine and excessive taxes, people will resort to eating leaves, roots, flesh, wild honey, fruits, flowers, and seeds. Struck by drought, they will become completely ruined. The citizens will suffer greatly from cold, wind, heat, rain, and snow. They will be further tormented by quarrels, hunger, thirst, disease, and severe anxiety. What will happen next? The maximum duration of life for human beings in Kali Yuga will become 50 years. Now it's a little bit more, but in the future it will diminish. By the time the age of Kali ends, the bodies of all creatures will be greatly reduced in size, and the religious principles of followers of Varnashrama will be ruined. The path of the Vedas will be completely forgotten in human society, and so-called religion will be mostly atheistic. Most plants and herbs will be tiny, and all trees will appear like dwarf summit trees. Clouds will be full of lightning, homes will be devoid of piety, and human beings will have become like asses. And what will happen next? Srimad Bhagavatam says, when Kali Yuga reaches its peak, a catastrophe will occur, and the Supreme Lord will appear on the earth as Kalki Avatar. He will mount his white horse that matches the Bible. He will kill corrupt rulers, and the golden age, Satya Yuga, will begin. There is a problem. This will happen in 427,000 years because the duration of Kali Yuga, according to the Vedas, is 432,000 years, and it began only 5,000 years ago. Although the golden age will surely come, we have a very, very long way to go. There is some good news. Before telling you the good news, we will read a bit more about the symptoms of Kali Yuga from the next chapter. This is the third chapter of the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is called Bhumi Gita. It describes the symptoms of Kali Yuga even more expressively, as if they were taken from newspapers and the internet. Please listen. When there is a predominance of cheating, lying, sloth, sleepiness, violence, depression, lamentation, bewilderment, fear, and poverty, that age is Kali, the age of the mode of ignorance. Because of the bad qualities of the age of Kali, human beings will become short-sighted, unfortunate, gluttonous, lustful, poverty-stricken. The women, becoming unchaste, will freely wander from one man to the next. Cities will be dominated by thieves, the Vedas will be contaminated, political leaders will virtually consume the citizens, and the so-called priests and intellectuals will be devotees of their bellies and genitals. Women will become much smaller in size, and they will eat too much, have more children than they can properly take care of, and lose all shyness. They will always speak harshly and will exhibit qualities of thievery, deceit, and unrestrained audacity. Businessmen will engage in petty commerce and earn their money by cheating. Even when there is no emergency, people will consider any degraded occupation quite acceptable. Servants will abandon a master who has lost his wealth, and even if that master is a saintly person of exemplary character, masters will abandon an incapacitated servant, even if that servant has been in the family for generations. Cows will be abandoned or killed when they stop giving milk. In Kali Yuga, men will be wretched and controlled by women. They will reject their fathers, brothers, other relatives, and friends, and will instead associate with sisters, brothers of their wives. Thus, the conception of friendship will be based exclusively on sexual ties. In the age of Kali, people's minds will always be agitated. They will become emaciated by famine and taxation, my dear king, and will always be disturbed by fear of drought. And they will lack adequate clothing, food, and drink, will be unable to properly rest, have sex, or bathe themselves, and will have no ornaments to decorate their bodies. In fact, the people of Kali Yuga will gradually come to appear like ghostly haunted creatures. In Kali Yuga, men will develop hatred for each other even over a few coins. Giving up all friendly relations, they will be ready to lose their own lives and kill even their own relatives. Men will no longer protect their elderly parents, their children, or their respectable wives. Thoroughly degraded, they will care only to satisfy their bellies and genitals. O king, in the age of Kali, people's intelligence will be diverted by atheism, and they will almost never offer sacrifice to Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Spiritual Master of the universe. Terrified, about to die, a man collapses on his bed, although his voice is faltering and he is hardly conscious of what he is saying. But still, people in the age of Kali will not worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Kali Yuga, objects, places, and even individual personalities are all polluted. The Almighty Personality of Godhead, however, can remove all such contamination from the life of one who fixes the Lord within his mind. If a person hears about, glorifies, meditates upon, worships, or simply offers great respect to the Supreme Lord, who is situated within the heart, the Lord will remove from his mind the contamination accumulated during many thousands of lifetimes. Now, good news. Kali Yuga, in which we are living now, is a special one. This happens once a day of Brahma, which lasts 8,640,000,000 years. When Kali Yuga has come into force, 5,000 years have passed. A special period begins, the Golden Age within this Kali Yuga. This is not a large Satya Yuga, which lasts 2,000,000 years. This is a short Satya Yuga, which lasts 10,000 years. Nevertheless, 10,000 years is not bad. What will this short Golden Age be connected with? It will be connected with Sankirtana movement, chanting the Mahamantra, the great chant for deliverance. It is clearly stated in Brahma Vairavata Purana, one of the classical Vedic Puranas. It is said, when 5,000 years of Kali Yuga have passed, Mantra Upasaka will come. A great devotee of the Lord, one who worships him by chanting his holy names, and he will spread the Sankirtana movement all over the earth. As a result, people will become so pure that they will come to sacred rivers and purify these sacred rivers merely by bathing in them. So pure will these saints become due to chanting the holy names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There are quite a lot of such prophecies in Vedic scriptures. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a great saint who lived in Bengal in the 16th century, his followers consider him to be an avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, predicted that soon the holy names will be preached in every town and village throughout the world. In this way, the Golden Age will begin. It is interesting that the great acharyas or great spiritual masters call this small period of Satya Yuga not just the Satya Yuga but Prema Yuga, the age of love. This is even better. Satya Yuga is characterized by morality, chastity, religion, virtue, but Prema Yuga is the age of universal love, when love, like a flood, inundates everything. It is possible because many people will chant sacred mantras. Srila Prabhupada, a great spiritual master who brought this movement to the West in the second half of the previous century, during his conversation with Alan Ginsberg, a famous American poet, musician, and writer, said the following. Allen Ginsberg asks, well, then do you think that more people would chant Hare Krishna or fewer? Prabhupada, oh yes, more people. People will use this opportunity for 10,000 years. These predictions, made in Vedic scriptures and by sane people, show that we are living in a very interesting period. We have reached this turning point. On the one hand, we can see that the influence of Kali Yuga is becoming stronger because of bad karma accumulated by people. More catastrophes, cataclysms, and natural disasters are happening. Recently, The great pandemic has come and it has not finished yet. Now some military actions are taking place. Later we are likely to face an economic crisis or a natural disaster. It is inevitable because people have accumulated very heavy karma. Srila Prabhupada once said that war is caused by two reasons, not by political negotiations but by meat eating or killing cows and abortions. They create heavy karma, which naturally causes catastrophes, cataclysms, and distress. At the same time, more and more people are becoming interested in spiritual knowledge, spiritual science, Vedas, and different types of spiritual practice, most of all chanting holy names, sacred Vedic mantras. Coming to the conclusion, we will turn to other prophecies which come not from Vedas, but from other sources which are worth considering. Moreover, they match Vedic predictions that have already been mentioned. We will start with biblical prophecies. I think you remember that in the Revelation by John it is said, "The kingdom of God will reign on earth for 1,000 of years, and Satan will be bound with a chain." This sounds similar to the prediction about the arrival of the short period of Satya Yuga, a short golden age. In the book of Daniel, we read, "The kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him." And from the book by John, "He, God, will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. God himself will be with them and be their God." But the scriptures say that the 14th Dalai Lama will be the last one. And soon after reaching the moon, the existing civilization will be destroyed. It is mentioned that a one-eyed monster will take control over every house. It must be our beloved television. Let's move on to Judaism. There is a subgroup called Hasidism. Maybe you know that in Hasidism, God is glorified with dancing and chanting. The Hasidic movement is headed by a Lubavitcher rabbi, a spiritual leader. There were 7 rabbis. The 7th rabbi lived in the second half of the 20th century. He was a very powerful spiritual person and made several prophecies. Not long before his departure in 1981, he said, "Live in a new century, study it and speak about it. Look closely at every detail in our world and imagine how it will look like at these times. Be present, not only accelerate its arrival, but be ready to accept its kindness." And now we refer to the prophets familiar to us, Nikolai and Elena Rerichs. You know that they wrote and spoke a lot about the upcoming new age, spiritual age, cosmic age. In one of her letters, Elena Rerich says, "There will be an unexpected turn. The purifying well of terrific events will come. The difficulty is that many people do not understand what is happening on our planet. There will be no world war, just some military conflicts." Now a prophet we have all heard about, the old Vanga. She is an extraordinary person. Most of her predictions came true. She made some very important prophecies about the future of the human race. She said, "Soon the ancient teaching will come to the world. People ask me when it will happen. Not soon. Syria has not fallen yet. It was said in 1970s when nobody knew what would happen to Syria. Here are the Vanga's prophecies. A new period is coming on earth, which may be called a period of virtue. The future belongs to good people who will live in a nice world, which is now difficult to imagine. All the hidden gold, that is wisdom, will come to the surface. The most ancient teaching is predestined to come back. There is an ancient teaching which will spread all over the world. New books will be printed and people will read them throughout the world. There is a famous dialogue between Vanga and Valentin Sidorev, a famous Soviet writer and poet. It took place in 1975. In this dialogue, they spoke about the Golden Age and that Russia would overcome many difficulties and obstacles it will face with and would become the spiritual leader of the whole world. When asked how soon it will happen, Vanga said, not soon, in 60 years. This took place in 1975. Before that, 3 countries will form a union: Russia, India, and China. We can see that things are going in that direction. These prophecies complement the picture we have made up on the basis of Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, we have not mentioned all the prophecies. There are prophecies made by Edgar Cayce, Tatiana Vikoshina, and many others. They are quite similar. A new pious period is coming on earth, the Golden Age. But this will not happen automatically. This is stated in all prophecies. This will result from people's activities. The universe gives us opportunities. For example, when summer comes, we are no longer affected by cold. But you can feel cold even in summer and warm in winter. It depends on us, on our choice. Our spiritual practice, to the greater extent, depends on our own activities, our collective consciousness. The more people on our planet will turn to the path of spiritual life, spiritual knowledge, spiritual practice, kindness, service to others, the faster these changes will happen. The fewer people will be interested in spiritual life, the more people will follow the Kali Yuga's culture of enmity, envy, greed, lust, hatred. The later it will happen, with more catastrophes, difficulties, and problems. My dear friends, let's remember that the Golden Age will come, but how and when it will happen depends on us.